pissed off.
Looking at Bitcoin today, we're going to look at opportunities for trading, and then another video probably in much more detail on the macro. Looking at Bitcoin right now, I suppose you need to look at the bigger picture in terms of where it's headed and where it's at. It does look like a grind, and what I mean by grind is this: we got a low, got a high, got a high low, high high, high low, high high, high low. Yeah, it's making highs, but each pivot point is within the other in a deep way. It does look like a rising wedge, and so it's a complex one, but this one is the base. So if we just clean this up for a sec, if we look at this as the base of this structure, so usually we have a base for rising wedges or descending wedges. This defines everything. Then we've got another slightly high and another high. So we want to see this hold. Definitely want to see that hold. So price is coming down. I had this resistance trend line and it's playing out along with the session MPOC. So this session MPOC is based on this. So you put a fixed volume profile. You got a high value area high, value area low, and the middle. So you can see how that works out. Why we thought, okay, that could be a resistance. We map it out. We don't know until you see the response. So let's just clean this up. So if that's our base, we've got a 1. So we've got a 1 bounce. We've got a second bounce and a third bounce. Now, third bounce, if it comes down here, that's bearish. If it especially comes down here, then we look for a shorting position, pretty much it. And then we look for lows. And I would expect it to go lower than that. There could be a potential fake out like that. Back up again. Take out some liquidity and then back up. Typical move based on manipulation. How likely is that? Well, we're not sure. But this is probably where it might take out a lot of liquidity because we've been having this activity. And so liquidity is coming down here. If it goes past that, that is bearish and I'll expect more lows. You might get a double bounce here. But when we look at the structure of this, from a Wyckoff perspective, is it accumulation? Let's have a look. So from a Wyckoff perspective, we can bring out a chart just to make sure you guys know what's going on. So here's our chart for Wyckoff accumulation. So if our silent climax is that, pretty much it is. So if we were to label that a silent climax, and you can see automatic response is unconventional, automatic high. And therefore we've got a secondary test. It really fits it well, except for this part here. So, and then we've got our second stage retest. And you can see even here, like you can see, that's taken place. So it's identical. Now, if we watch, so if this takes place and it drops, keeps coming down, and you can see where this is taking place. If it falls short of the previous high, so if it falls short here, we want to see it come here to say, okay, accumulation's in progress or further up. This is problematic. This is problematic to the chart because generally they should be roughly equal. But I'll look at this area as a main resistance. So if you can go sideways for a while and then break up, I expect a resistance here. And then if it does come down, we expect it to come down. Then we look at long-term wise, the spring. It might do a double here. Or would it go below this one here? It could, I suppose you can take that as well. But it could be front run as well. So if we see that kind of activity, then we're good. Right now, it's going to take a while, I think, for this to take place. I can't see this just keeping going up. It can, but I just don't see it. Trying to grab that liquidity there is probably unlikely. I think this is it here. Maybe slightly above here. We've got the value area high. So this structure from price active is going to be the main one. So I'm looking from that perspective. Now, so short-term wise, we're looking for this level to be support. And so, yes, we have a long. Actually, we got longs from way back down. So we've got a 70, we've got a long from here, and I've got a long from here as well. 87, yep, a long from there. So I'm doing well in that sense. And I've got shorts all the way from the top, one down here, I suppose. So we're just playing it out. I'm looking for this to go up. I'll look for a scalp trade for a breakout. I'll look for shorting around here. I'd like to see this taken out and then follow through with a swing failure pattern on the 1 hour. So we're looking at the 1 hour chart, and if we get a good rejection like this, then it could be a double top like this and then come down. I don't expect anything up here, but if it spikes, be ready for it to short, because then we might get this as support. If it starts that or comes down and then regains that, it's a long signal. So this level is important as far as I'm concerned based on this. Now we'll look at on the weekly and the monthly levels and see if this has anything to do with it. Okay, now we can see our daily levels here and our monthly and our weekly based on this. So the only thing that we have here is the naked point of control. Let's try the Fibonacci as well, just to see where that comes down to. It is a golden ratio as well. So it's in between the golden ratio and this naked point of control, like we said before. So that's why we get this bit of a resistance. Now this is going to be probably important because it's golden ratio from that pivot point to that pivot point. So we found our bounce because it started from here. That's a major pivot point. It's making a difference. It is a golden ratio, so that's going to be an important level here as well, the MPOC. So if this was to pull back, then we get the last stages of bullishness, and then I would think it will drop this level, because once it drops this level, it's going to be important. You can see that's important. That's important. It's going to act like resistance, most likely. And then you look for shorting positions around here if you get the bounce from the monthly. That's my opinion for the short term. This is the way I'm going to trade it. Looking for long-term accumulation. So our range is established. That is our range. Along with that, we might get a bit of a peak at the top. Something like this. That is a bullish sign. And do we get a V-shaped type of scenario? Probably not. So what I mean by V-shape. So if we got that type of double bottom type of thing, it might do that. But it's not common. We would expect more accumulation. But if the bulls just keep coming in for a number of reasons, that'll be surprising. But I'm looking at, from a structural perspective, if it comes to this level, I think there'll be a good resistance because it's a daily. It's got the value area high from a number of perspectives. And so I'm looking for this probably type of scenario where you got this triangle, really. So we've got a pivot point, and if we get a pivot there, then we'll get this grind. So it might come down, and then we'll see if there's a squeeze type of thing. Bitcoin's known to do that. And it might just pop up if we get that across there. That's another scenario, but I'm looking at this rising wedge as a more of a likely scenario based on the from my Wyckoff accumulation or redistribution. It makes sense. So I'm going to leave that there, guys. Please give me a like and share, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
There you have it. Please give Sam a like, share, and subscribe to his channel to support him for doing more of these posts.